Washington, D.C., the giant grocery chain has announced a ban on large bags. Great, now where will I shop? Complains one large bag.
Talking about Russia briefly, you and I have talked before about how Hillary Clinton labeled you a puppet of Putin, a Russian asset. Debbie Wasserman Schultz shamefully said the same. And I saw recently President Trump withdrew Hillary Clinton's security clearance, which you had to do.
Yes.
That must have been a little fun. Right? Oh, just a little fun.
I smiled.
Of course you did.
Hillary Clinton was not the only person whom Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly ridiculed. They destroyed her political legacy as if it were a shaky IKEA bin. They sliced through decades of scandals, unsuccessful campaigns, and clumsy attempts at relatability with razor-sharp wit and surgical accuracy, leaving behind nothing but smoldering jokes. Each jab struck with precision. With each observation, a new fissure in the smooth exterior was revealed. Ultimately, it was more than a roast. In prime time, it was a political demolition.
All right, she lost an election, and now she's projecting. Hillary Clinton went on The View this week, which immediately raises a serious question. What's the weight capacity for that stage? But you'll never guess what she talked about. Her love of gardening, the things she does to stay healthy, how much she adores catching and cooking stray kittens. Nah, it was Donald Trump, as expected. But it's like I always tell Taylor Swift, girl, you gotta move on. Seriously, Trump doesn't just live in Hillary's brain. He's built a 500-unit condo with in-unit laundry and a rooftop lounge.
Should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent.
The gift that keeps on giving is Hillary Clinton's political career, particularly for anyone with a sharp tongue and no tolerance for tired platitudes. It's almost time for Greg Gutfeld to warm up before the roast starts. Since Clinton's record is a veritable feast of dubious choices, political blunders, and incidents that leave you wondering if she's vying for office or trying out for a never-ending case of political deja vu.
She uses the phrase, what was it? I wrote it down here, handmaiden to the patriarchy, which I think she means she's bashing Monica Lewinsky. I'm not sure. But this only is appealing to an ever-shrinking circle of feminist women, the same who bow to the altar of trans men and keep silent when real women are victimized by really bad men. But again, it's another assigned opinion that's lazily presented, men against women. Whether it's race or gender, as long as you pit one group against the other, they won't look up at you. And this is how the Democrat Party survived.
Being the sharpest person in the room was the foundation of her ascent to fame. She has repeatedly demonstrated, however, that intelligence does not always translate into likability, relatability, or even strategic proficiency. Every public presentation exudes the enthusiasm of someone who has a PowerPoint prepared for every scenario but has somehow neglected to switch on the projector. With her over-practiced smile, binder of bullet points, and the remarkable ability to convert every human situation into a planned photo op, she campaigns as though she's speaking to a boardroom in the mid-90s.
And decided to weigh in on this snub. Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office, but not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than Keno. Is that a reference to the movie? I didn't see it. And then here's the capper. At the end, hashtag Hillary Barbie. She's trying to make that a thing. Some of the reaction online to this, I love this. Clearly, Greta and Margot should have campaigned in Michigan.
Like it's an Olympic sport, Kelly dives headfirst into the notorious email scandal. Mishandling sensitive information would be a career-ending disaster for the majority of politicians. For Clinton, it turned into a tiresome, years-long tour of justifications, with the list of reasons growing longer than the server logs. This roast's genius lies in the fact that it goes beyond the incident itself. They draw attention to its accompanying haughtiness. It was more than a mistake. It was an error that was encased in denial, tinged with disdain, and accompanied with a side of "how dare you question me."
Stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out-and-out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration.
The 2016 campaign is another example of a political disaster so spectacular that it is still studied in classrooms, on podcasts, and in every coffee shop debate about how you failed to win an election, that you were supposed to have one. Losing to the current US President, Donald Trump, was more than just a setback, it was an instance of culture. The equivalent of fumbling a football at the 1-yard line when the other squad was asleep in terms of politics. Well, Kelly enjoys pointing out how the campaign appeared to be more focused on celebrity endorsements than on substantive policy engagement. Greg mocks her failure to connect with working-class people.
Seriously, Trump doesn't just live in Hillary's brain. He's built a 500-unit condo with in-unit laundry and a rooftop lounge. Sonny Hostin, the only member of The View not vaccinated for canine distemper, kicked things off by asking Hillary what will happen if Trump is reelected, which is odd because Hillary's an expert on not getting.
Her efforts to appear relatable have always been perplexing. Those simulated encounters never work for a reason. They smell like rehearsal. In an attempt to appear approachable, most politicians may roll up their sleeves, discuss their families, or offer a personal story. Clinton, at one point, she attempted to persuade voters that she had spicy sauce in her bag, as though a condiment could overcome decades of political elite on its own. It was more of an odd prop moment than a point of connection, leading others to speculate that she might be trying out for a parody sketch. Gutfeld joyfully dissects her speech pattern. The weather sounds as though every syllable been put through its paces by a focus group. There are countless scapegoats. She appears less like an experienced political veteran and more like a reality show competitor attempting to justify why they were eliminated first as a result of it.
She's got less material than a Third Eye Blind cover band. And like any old tired act, she stuck to her greatest hits without playing any new stuff. But maybe her new tunes got wiped clean on that server. I wonder if there's always been a streak of violence, of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism.
There's always been a streak of violence, of racism.
During her time as Secretary of State, she made foreign policy mistakes, most notably in Libya, which resulted in a geopolitical dumpster fire. Her cocky we saw attitude gives the impression that she views world issues as late night jokes. Then there is Clinton's talent for conflating public service with private benefit. The Clinton Foundation attracted donations and speaking engagements that made it seem less like a charity and more like an influence-peddling cover band. She became a rock sensation, rewriting history with her speeches, books, and regular reminders that she had won the popular vote.
She did need to distract from that email scandal, which was around her neck like an albatross. Trust me, we were covering it every night on the Kelly File at Fox News. She had clearly violated the law with that homebrew server that had been accessed by foreign agents. She compromised national intelligence information. She did things she would never have allowed anybody at the state.
She is like an athlete showing off a second-place medal at every dinner gathering. Who claimed they were cheated? The reason the roast works is that it highlights the disconnect between the public's perception of Clinton as an established, entitled person who is unable to read the room and her own self-image as a trailblazing genius under threat. Kelly points out that her refusal to step away from the limelight simply serves to destroy her previous goodwill. The most scathing criticism focused on her political timing, such as showing up 3 hours late to an unexpected party and expecting To be the star and her unrelenting efforts to change history as the nearly elected president who was foiled by bad luck, misogyny, and other villains.
Want to hit mute when they bring on the demon in a pantsuit. Yes, with election hopes waning, Dems promote Hillary's complaining. On Tuesday, the joyless Joy Reid welcomed Hillary Clinton to her horrendous show, and Clinton was in full GOP bashing mode. It's just like the good old days when Bill was accused of sexual misconduct and Hillary roamed the halls like She-Hulk in a pantsuit.
I am.
So yeah, that's over for her.
And a number of other people, by the way, when you look at the 51
Mark Zaid, I love
former
that.
intelligence officials who signed that Hunter Biden disinformation letter and never apologized for it, never held themselves accountable for it. Yes, Mark Zaid, you had Letitia James and
Why
others.
did she even have one?
Well, some of them didn't have clearances, but they had access to classified information, and so we took away that access.
Kelly destroys the myth-making as Gutfeld pokes fun at the self-pity, reminding everyone that history remembers deeds, not just excuses. Because Clinton consistently provides material for the roast, it writes itself. Her interviews repeat talking, themes from 2 decades ago, and her clumsy, performative social media endeavors are like your aunt on TikTok. She continues to be hailed by allies as the rescuer of democracy, even if every electoral map since 2016 indicates otherwise. Each comeback is a sequel no one requested, and every appearance serves as a reminder of why she lost. Gutfeld and Kelly depict her career as a never-ending cycle of ambition, controversy, denial, and reinvention. The roast, however, goes on as long as the cameras are out.
They're going to try to ignore him for as long as they can because they're deathly afraid of him. And they're going to do to him what they did to me in the Democratic primary of 2020, which is pretend you don't exist. And then if people start noticing you, then they will try to smear and cancel and destroy him at all costs.
I remember what Hillary did to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's still standing,
Baseless smears that repeated over and over and over again by the propaganda media until people actually start to believe it, and it starts causing some real damage.
The upcoming chapter promises more revisionist history, more awkward relatability, and evidence that some political brands simply keep remaking themselves. Hillary moments are constantly being ripped apart. Clinton continues to spin her self-brand while touring the media circuit as though her every utterance still carries weight. In the age of streaming, it's similar to publishing a CD and asking why it doesn't chart. Her spontaneous moments, whether they are a book tour or a staged conversation in a coffee shop, feel contrived, polite, rehearsed, and forgettable as soon as you leave.
Hillary Clinton argues Joe should be, quote, direct and forceful, end quote, against Trump in the CNN debate. Yeah, direct and forceful, just like the noose I put around Epstein's neck. If I did it.
With every word carefully considered by a committee and devoid of emotion or spontaneity, her speeches are a master tutorial in overthinking. In a time when genuineness is valued, she continues to place more value on accuracy than rapport. Gutfeld scoffs at her speech, saying it has the attractiveness of a tax reform PowerPoint, while Kelly demolishes the information, pointing out exaggerated victories and rehashed complaints. She would have handled every problem perfectly, whether it was a global crisis or a change in politics. It is a fantasy that disregards decades of conflicting outcomes, trapping her in a feedback loop where only the color of the campaign logo changes.
Not just an aberration where one or two people or a small group engage in that kind of violent rhetoric and urge people to take action against political figures. We're seeing a whole political party.
All right, Ben Franklin. I know this is whataboutism, but...
Her criticism of younger politicians backfires, alienating people who have already moved on by giving the impression that she is a professor who is not impressed with the new generation. She appears to be up against a generation that has left her behind in a competition that no one else is participating in. Even her autobiographies, which were marketed as candid accounts, seem more like carefully manicured exhibits than candid ones. However, the rose isn't just about the past. Her narrative is still an unresolved political soap opera, with a franchise that consistently promises a follow-up. The next act will inevitably happen whether people applaud or groan.